You're watching Maine CW. Maine's total coverage at 10 starts right now.
Dozens of roads closed, thousands of power outages as the impacts of Lee moved through Maine and turned deadly. Thanks for being with us here tonight at 10. I'm John Chrysos.
And I'm Megan Torgeson. Thanks for joining us for Maine's total coverage. We begin with a first check of the weather with Chief Meteorologist Roger Griswold. And Roger, it was an extremely busy day. Looks like we're in a good place right now.
We absolutely are, Megan. Things are continuing to wind down. Last of the tropical storm warnings have now been discontinued up and down the coastline. So all that's left is down East Maine and northern Maine, and they'll see things improve during the overnight hours. But for the time being, they're still dealing with flash flooding, heavy rain, and those gusty winds. Out there right now, in fact, on the satellite view, things are beginning to clear out along the Maine-New Hampshire border, and this will be the trend through the overnight hours. You can see the rain now clearing out of Penobscot Bay, but here's where the heavy rain does continue to fall over eastern Maine. I'm looking off to the west, though, and here's tomorrow's weather. How about a nice piece of dry air, clear skies, and you know what? That means we're going to be back into the sunshine. Right now in Portland, we're at 66 degrees. Naples, Lewiston, Auburn, and Augusta, everybody in the mid-60s. But with that wind coming in, and it is a diminishing wind, still gusting to 30 in Portland, but that'll diminish overnight. We are going to see some drier air continue to come in. That means cooler temperatures for the overnight. Speaking of those wind gusts, taking you down through midnight and beyond, continuing to weaken. So wind really not an issue at all tomorrow. Sunshine will be back. Rain again comes back in on Monday. It'll be a soaker of a storm Monday night into Tuesday, but then that feel of fall for the remainder of the week. We'll talk more about it, look at the 8-day forecast in just a couple of minutes. John, Megan.
Okay, Roger, thank you. And as Mainers clean up debris and damage after today's storm, thousands are still waiting for power to be restored. Currently, Central Maine Power reports about 39,000 still in the dark tonight. It is estimated that at its height, over 120,000 CMP customers lost power today. Central Maine Power recently released a statement on the outages saying that they are planning on having 500 power crews and 300 vegetation crews work around the clock until all customers are safely restored.
Police say a man from Eastport is dead after a tree fell on his car, bringing down live power lines, trapping him inside. Officials say he was on Route 1 near Prospect Street around 9 this morning. Rescuers had to wait for CMP to shut the lines down before they could get him out. Officials say he died at the hospital. The driver has not yet been identified.
And a number of areas in Maine dealing with road closures tonight in addition to those power outages. That includes the Mid-Coast region.
That's where we find James Corrigan, who is live in Bath. So James, you've been up and down that region today. What have you been seeing? How have conditions changed?
Megan, all is relatively calm right now here on the waterfront in Bath, but that was certainly not the case throughout the day as Lee made its way around the state, bringing just enough wind to cause a fair amount of damage here along the mid-coast. That includes in Wiscasset on Old Bath Road, a tree flattening power lines, leaving an entire neighborhood powerless. It brought the lines down almost to the ground, so much so that the people that live in that neighborhood couldn't leave their driveways without going through or around it, which of course is extremely dangerous. West Alma Road, also in Wiscasset, saw another tree tumble down on power lines, leaving more than 50 homes in that neighborhood without power. Similar scenes were seen here in Bath as well, as a tree had come down on power lines, which left locals in shock as things went to black.
Lights go off, TV goes off, computer goes off, and next thing I know there's a sound like something whooshing down the street, and so I came out and had a good look around, and next thing I see is the power lines all down the street, all hanging over neighbours' houses, and probably looking a lot worse than it really was, but it was a bit of a mess out here.
Now, even though, as you just heard, outages have ticked down across the state overall, things have remained pretty steady in terms of those numbers here in the Mid-Coast. More than 2,000 homes still without power in Saginaw County, and in Lincoln County, still nearly 7,000 CMP customers are without power. And that means it will be a long night ahead for those CMP crews trying to restore that power. Live in Bath, I'm James Corrigan with Maine's Total Coverage.
All right, James, thank you. And the damage isn't just limited to Bath. Connor Clement was in Rockland today to see how those on the water adjusted to high winds and higher waves.
John and Megan, it's safe to say that the worst of what was Hurricane and then Tropical Storm Lee has passed through the Mid-Coast area already. and conditions are expected to improve here throughout the night. The storm did bring high wind gusts and heavy rain at times, causing extensive damage in some parts, like here on West Meadow Road, where a tree toppled over onto a car. Thankfully, no one was hurt. Other damage in the area included down power lines and road closures. We spoke to a man who braved the seas out in Rockland Harbor on his jet ski to get a first-hand look at what conditions on the open water were like.
I just took off like 10-15 minutes ago to go out there to check out breakwater. Nobody in sight. Went out a little further. The wave's about 6 or 7 feet.
Okay.
I say, yeah. It's coming in pretty hard.
Yeah.
So one way you take a lot of pounding, then you turn around, and the other way it's not so bad. So I just kind of made a tail around to check it out because I got friends on the water or the house. So I just thought I'd just drive by and check it out. I mean, what else am I going to do, you know? Might as well enjoy it.
Now all focus turns to cleanup and restoration here tonight in the Mid-Coast area. CMP still reporting a high number of power outages. Reporting in Rockland, Connor Clement, Maine's Total Weather.
Meanwhile, today, down East Maine saw some of the most serious storm impacts on this side of the Canadian border. Nora Hogan gives us an inside look at the storm-drenched Mount Desert Island.
The rain started early in the morning in Bar Harbor. By 9, it was an onslaught. You know, I can't remember the last time I was dry out here. It's been steady, consistent tropical downpours for at least 2 hours now.
We're checking on the pier periodically. I'll be down here most of the day. If anything gets too crazy down here, then we'll end up securing the pier just to keep people away from the hazards.
But that didn't keep the spectators away, with locals and tourists alike flocking to the public landing to see the magnificent waves.
It's really cool and scary at the same time.
Lee is likely to be a storm that they'll remember.
Yeah, I think it's exciting. It doesn't happen up here very often. The last one was way back in 1991. So it's Guy's first big storm.
In Bar Harbor, I'm Nora Hogan for Maine's Total Weather.
And for those without power tonight, the Maine Emergency Management Agency certainly wants you to be careful and to stay safe. As the weather subsides, MEMA and the Red Cross say if you are using a generator, remember never operate it inside your home or garage and make sure it is away from any open windows.
They're also cautioning people flooding can still happen, even days after the storm.
Flooding can occur inland without warning, even days after the storm has passed. It's important to know your evacuation zone and to stay tuned to alerts and warnings through your local news station and your smartphone.
MEMA also says if your power is out, to keep your fridge door closed. Food can stay safe up to 4 hours in the fridge and 24 hours in a freezer.
And as Lee left Maine, it continued to make its way north through Canada. These are some images here of New Brunswick. You can see Lee tearing the roof off that gas station right there coming on down. Also some pretty familiar sights like here in Maine, such as roads being closed by downed power lines and branches. Lee is supposed to make its way out of Canada and back to the water overnight. Well, other news here this evening, the United Auto Workers Union is now in its second full day of protests after workers in 3 states walked out. And now big American automakers are laying off employees as a result. Ford and GM announced on Friday 2,600 union workers will be let go as a ripple effect of work stoppages from striking plants. Ford says 600 employees at a Michigan plant were told not to report to work. And GM said about 2,000 employees in Kansas City will be laid off. At an Ohio plant, strikers are making it a family affair.
You brought your kids here today to be part of this. Why did you want them to be on the picket line with you?
Well, I want them to stand up for what's right, stand up what's fair, and stand up for what they deserve. And we deserve it. It's a long time coming. I didn't prepare too much because I didn't really think it was going to happen, you know. But that's me. I'm new to the game. So I know for next time if it happens. But, you know, we're going to thug it out. We're going to make it happen.
And the UAW president said that the automakers haven't addressed 80% of the striking members' demands yet. Still to come here at 10 in Commitment 2024, the battle to be the GOP nominee takes a twist. Florida Republicans side with former President Trump over their own governor in the battle over a loyalty oath.
The fall is known as cold and flu season for a reason, but some new data suggests the season may be starting earlier than expected this year. We're going to take a look at the ways you can identify a cold or maybe something more serious.
And some wind and rain didn't stop Wells and Winthrop from facing off in high school football. We'll get to those highlights ahead in sports.
And tomorrow looking to be one of those beautiful September days. We'll get it started about 8 o'clock with temperatures close to 60 degrees, lots of sunshine, and those gusty winds, they're going to be a thing of the past. Where do we go from here? Well, we've got some more rain coming our way. We'll talk about that. Look at the 8-day forecast coming up right after the break.
Back here now at 10, and Roger, what was interesting about this one, as it often is with storms in Maine, it really depended on where you were in the state, the kind of weather that you saw today.
Yeah, there was some significant differences between folks who are on along the Maine-New Hampshire border. They're saying this was no big deal. It was windy. We didn't get any rain. And then there's folks in the mid-coast who are like, hey, wait a minute. And then you saw the pictures coming out of down East Maine. In fact, they've still got flash flood warnings in effect, still got rain coming down. So they really got beat up. And it's just the difference of 100 miles really makes all of it. Well, here's the thing. The whole thing is out of here. Some big improvements. We're already getting it underway in the greater Portland area. Skies are in the process of clearing out. The wind is still northwest, and it's gusting close to 30. But it's a dry wind. You can feel it. Dew point down to 49 degrees in the barometer. 29.63 inches. It is RRing. That's rising rapidly. Big improvements as that storm system continues to move away from the region. And yes, we were just on the outer edges today. 66 right now in Freiburg, looking at 60s in Windham, Gray, Naples, and Brunswick, all checking in. Here is the center of circulation, now lifting up through the Bay of Fundy as expected, and will continue to peel off to the north and east. Here's tomorrow's weather, looking good. Briefly, some sunshine, but hey, we'll take it on a Sunday. And then we've got showers and clouds, which are going to work their way quickly in here on Monday. It does look as though an area of low pressure is going to try to develop and come off the New England coastline Monday night into Tuesday. That'll bring us another slug of rain here before the cooler air comes in with that true feel of fall setting in for Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Storm tracker tomorrow, okay, no problems whatsoever. Here's the wet weather. Showery on Monday morning for the commute, but not the steady rains that you'll probably be dealing with for the afternoon. And look at this area of low pressure. Once again, we're going to have like a northeast wind. It's going to be like a mini nor'easter, a mini one, not a big one, but a mini one here Monday night. Overnight lows tonight going to be in the 50s, and then high temperatures tomorrow, 75 to 80 degrees. 8-day forecast, impact weather then for Monday. We'll talk about rain arriving by dark, maybe even middle part of the afternoon. And then Tuesday, we've still got a wet start to the day with some leftover showers. And then look at the chance for rain for Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Beautiful stretch of weather coming up. Gradual clearing tonight. Winds finally ease. It's a cooler night, 55 here by morning. Tomorrow, mostly sunny, not as windy. Very pleasant with afternoon temperatures in the mid-70s. 8-day forecast, then impact weather. Rain, showery, becomes a steady soaking rain Monday night. The wind will pick up as well. Wet at the start on Tuesday, but we'll salvage a little bit of the afternoon. And then that, that feel of fall right through the remainder of the week. John?
Okay, Roger, thank you. The Republican Party of Florida has sided with former President Donald Trump and decided to scrap plans to implement a party-wide loyalty pledge. The pledge demanded that losing candidates endorse the eventual GOP nominee. Some Trump supporters saw the pledge as a move to boost DeSantis and argued the state GOP violated national party rules that bar such changes to candidate eligibility requirements within 2 years of an election. In August, former President Trump said he wouldn't sign the loyalty pledge if he lost the primaries.
The number of people killed in the Maui wildfires has dropped. On Friday, Hawaii's Governor Josh Green made this announcement. The drop in the number of deaths is due to anthropologists who were able to do advanced genetic testing. Governor Green also said the state is also working on moving more than 7,000 people to long-term housing now. The governor said that many of those still reported missing will soon be identified, so he expects the number of missing people to drop as well.
The number of fatalities has actually dropped from what was projected to be 115 is now at 97. We still have about 23 people who have passed away who we have not been able to identify yet. And a lot of the 31 reports of missing people will, that will cover the 23, I'm sure, who have not yet been identified. So the number will keep dropping.
The governor added that Hawaii is looking to reopen West Maui on October 8th and says tourism to the islands are a great help. We're headed toward respiratory virus season again, and while illnesses like the flu and RSV tend to start spreading in October, the U.S. is already seeing some sickness starting to tick up.
And Mandy Gaither has some more on how to help identify those viruses if you or your child get sick.
The symptoms are similar, so if your child gets sick, it can be hard to know if it's COVID-19, the flu, RSV, or a cold.
Cough, congestion, runny nose. Those are common symptoms to all four of those viruses.
Dr. Andy Shane with Children's Healthcare of Atlanta says there are ways to help distinguish between the illnesses. First, look at how quickly symptoms start.
RSV and COVID are more gradual, usually in symptom onset, and may start with a runny nose and then progress to other symptoms.
While COVID-19 is the current virus of concern, with nearly 19,000 hospital admissions the past week, RSV levels are starting to pick up in the South, with small increases in the West and middle of the country.
Loss of appetite is classically something that we associate with RSV, but of course, loss of appetite can be associated with a lot of other infections as well.
RSV symptoms may also include coughing, sneezing, fever, and wheezing. Colds usually peak within 2 to 3 days with cough, sore throat, runny or stuffy nose, watery eyes, and sneezing. COVID-19 may include symptoms of cough, brief episodes of fever, shortness of breath, abdominal pain, and fatigue. And flu symptoms may include fever, chills, headache, runny nose, nausea, and fatigue.
If a parent is concerned about a child, then that is usually an indication that additional care needs to be sought.
For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
In the sports now tonight, despite the storm, there was a high school football game actually played tonight.
Wells and Winthrop faced off at Gardner High School in a Southern D matchup. Wells would take the lead early in the second quarter when Brooks Fox throws the screen pass to Eli Potter, who takes it 15 yards for the touchdown to make it 6-0 Warriors. Then after a turnover, Wells gets on the board again when Fox throws the 15-yard touchdown pass to Riley Murphy in the back of the end zone. And then late in the first half, the Fox and Murphy connection hook up for another score. Fox threw for 4 touchdown passes in the 41-0 Wells win.
The University of New England football team was in Washington, D.C. to face Gallaudet, and it was a big day for Nor'easter's quarterback Jared Henault. The junior threw for a pair of touchdowns in the first half and ran one in from 45 yards out as UNE improves to 3-0 with a 31-10 win. UNE will host Rochester next Saturday on homecoming weekend. And Bowdoin and Colby played their first games of the season. Andrew Bowl threw for 347 yards and 3 touchdowns to lead Bowdoin to a 26-12 road win at Hamilton. Meanwhile, Colby lost their opener on the road at Williams by a final of 25-22. The Mules blew a 14-point first-half lead.
The Patriots will try for their first win of the season when they host the Dolphins tomorrow night in Foxborough. Miami has won 4 of the last 5 matchups between the teams. The players in the Patriots locker room know they cannot fall behind like they did in their opening loss against the Eagles.
I feel good, man. I'm excited for this week. I feel like we practiced really hard throughout this whole week, putting our offense together to go out there and perform, and we just got to keep pushing.
Being able to move the ball on the ground, I think that's one of our focal points this week, and just stand on track, don't get behind the sticks, things like that.
The Portland Sea Dogs played it safe and canceled their game against Hartford today due to the impacts of Lee.
The Sea Dogs close out the season tomorrow afternoon, at Hadlock Field. And it was another in a long line of frustrating losses for the Red Sox today in Toronto. They had a lead with 2 outs in the 9th, but the Blue Jays tied it and then eventually win it in the bottom of the 13th inning on an infield single by Whit Merrifield. The teams wrap up a series on Sunday afternoon.
That right there wraps up sports for this evening. Coming up, it's not unusual for art from famous artists to go for high prices at auction.
But for this painting, it's no happy little accident that it's fetching such a high price. Maine's Total Coverage continues when we return. Stay with us.
Tropical storm force wind gusts today in Portland up to 44 miles per hour. Lewiston, Auburn falling a little short at 35, Sanford at 31, but look at Augusta, almost up to a 50 mile per hour wind gust. No wonder we had some of those power outages. Mount Washington at 85, Rockland I only got 36. That sounds a little questionable, but Bangor at 53 and Waterville 40. All right, so do you have Lee fatigue? I know I do, but we can't let our guard down because, believe it or not, we're only halfway through that tropical storm season. That meaning we've got just as much activity ahead of us as we do behind us. So we've got to keep an eye on the tropics. And right now I've only got one area of concern that I'm going to show you. Here it is. We've got a couple of systems, but they're not going to bother us. They're headed out into the ocean. Here's the area of concern. It's in yellow, 30% chance of tropical storm development over the next 7 days. We'll keep an eye on it, but for now, things are going to be quiet. We're going to enjoy, yes, rain here Monday night, but after that, the rest of the week is looking good. John, Megan?
Okay, Roger, thanks. The painting from the very first episode of Bob Ross's The Joy of Painting has been listed for sale for nearly $10 million.
So a Minnesota-based gallery is selling the original oil painting titled A Walk in the Woods. Ross's signature is there in the bottom left corner. Now, unlike other famous paintings, this one was painted live on air back in 1983. The current owner says he got it from a PBS volunteer who was there during the filming and says the painting's value comes from its designation as the first.
This painting right here is the most important painting. You could call it the rookie card of Bob Ross. This is the painting painted on season 1, episode 1.
The owner also says even though he listed it for sale, he's in no rush to part ways with it and hopes it ends up in a museum or traveling exhibit someday. He's not looking to cash in at all on that.
No, not at all. It's relaxing just looking at it.
It sure is. Total coverage at 10 here tonight continues.
Roger will have a final look at your forecast when we come back.
Hi, Kevin Gardner at Patriot Subaru, Service Manager. Along with 2 other service managers, Paul and Glenn, we have a team of over 50 people in our service and parts department. We're very fortunate to be in the position we are, serving so many customers every day. Without you, there's no Patriot Subaru. Knowledgeable advisors who work with you when you drive in. Highly skilled techs who diagnose and fix things right. We lace them up and keep things rolling. Patriot Subaru, Saco, Maine.
Hi, I'm Scott Libby, owner of Royal River Heat Pumps, Maine's Mitsubishi electric experts. We believe everyone can come together to make a big difference. Each month, our Ripple to River spotlights a different nonprofit organization that needs your help.
Make-A-Wish creates life-changing wishes for children with critical illnesses. As a Wish alum, I know firsthand how a wish can bring joy during a dark time. A wish begins with hope, and hope begins with you.
Visit rippletoriver.com to learn more and donate.
Thank you.
Enjoy quality time with quality ingredients.
Expand your definition of healthy living. Visit blueapron.com to learn more.
Bragg's apple cider vinegar recipe has never changed, ever. Bragg, it's not weird if it works.
At Strayer University, we have the tools to help you get ahead and stay ahead. It's why we give you a brand new laptop when you enroll in a bachelor's program, so you can always keep striving.
Choosing a treatment for your chronic migraine, 15 or more headache days a month, each lasting 4 hours or more, can be overwhelming. So ask your doctor about Botox. Botox prevents headaches in adults with chronic migraine before they even start. It's the #1 prescribed branded chronic migraine treatment. So far, more than 5 million Botox treatments have been given to over 850,000 chronic migraine patients.
Effects of Botox may spread hours to weeks after injection, causing serious symptoms. Alert your doctor right away, as difficulty swallowing, speaking, breathing, eye problems, or muscle weakness can be signs of a life-threatening condition. Side effects may include allergic reactions, neck and injection site pain, fatigue, and headache. Don't receive Botox if there's a skin infection. Tell your doctor your medical history, muscle or nerve conditions and medications, including botulinum toxins, as these may increase the risk of serious side effects.
In a survey, 92% of current users said they wish they talked to their doctor and started Botox sooner. So ask your doctor if Botox is right for you.
We'll see you back here tomorrow.